This week's parsha is Parshas Va'Yasheiv. Parshas Va'Yasheiv speaks mainly about Yosef. Yosef and his fight with his brothers, the subsequent sale to the Yishmaelim, then he's taken down to the land of Egypt, and then he is sold as a slave to Potiphar. Potiphar is a very wealthy man with many possessions, investments, slaves, and so on. And after being there for a little bit of time, Potiphar quickly realizes that Yosef is an extremely talented and responsible man. And further, he obviously has divine assistance behind him. Anything he touched seemed to turn to gold. So Potiphar decides that Yosef will now be his main slave, his chief slave, the man who will be in charge of all of his possessions. In fact, the Pasuk says that Yosef was the one who took care of everything in the house, to the point that he was the sole controller of almost anything in the household. Potiphar didn't have to worry about anything. Now, everything seemed to be going fine until he was confronted by Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife had noticed the handsome young Yosef, and she desired him. And she proposed to him that they commit a tremendously terrible avera. In fact, one of the worst averas possible. Yosef's reaction is very interesting, and the wording of the verse that describes Yosef's reaction to her proposal has tremendous significance. Yosef said, the pasuk says, "Vayimayin." He refused. Now, mi'in is a very specific type of refusal. Normally, actually, when the Gemara talks about deciding not to do an avera, not to do a sin, the Gemara says that a person is supposed to say, of course I want to eat pig, of course I want to have that juicy ham, but what can I do? My Father in heaven has commanded me not to commit this sin, and therefore I cannot commit this sin. But in this case, mi'un, this language of mi'un, refusal, means that it is my desire not to commit this, meaning that I have no desire to involve myself with this sin. And that's what Yosef was expressing. That not only was he not going to do it because he was commanded not to do it, it's that he didn't have a desire for this. What does that mean? We'll explain in a minute. So now Yosef goes on to say, he tells Potiphar's wife, "Your husband has placed me in charge of the entire household. He trusts me with everything. He has not withheld from me the control of anything but you, his wife. How could I go and commit this terrible, terrible avera, not only terrible avera, but also a terrible thing to do to someone who I should have so much gratitude towards? I have a tremendous debt of gratitude towards my master, Potiphar. He has given me a tremendous amount of responsibility and trust. How could I violate that trust?" This is a simple understanding of the verse. But if you dig a little deeper, the Sfas Emes says that it has a parallel understanding which Yosef was convincing himself not to involve himself in this avera, in this sin. If you think about it, those words can be metaphorically referring to our relationship with Hashem. Hashem could have created mankind, could have created the world where they would have no freedom to choose. If Hashem wanted us to always follow his will, he could have chained us down. We would have no free will. Everything we would do is instinctive, and Hashem would have put in our programming always to do the right thing. If he wanted a bunch of robotic slaves to walk around giving him sacrifices, praying 3 times a day, always doing everything they should do, and so on, he could have done that. It's not that it wasn't within Hashem's power to create man without his free will. Hashem decided to choose the path of creating man who has free will. So now that Hashem has given us this free will, he's given us dominion, he's given us control of our actions, he's given us a world to choose and enjoy. And he's told us there are certain things in this world which are off limits. I give you everything, I give you the freedom to choose, I give you the freedom to enjoy the pleasures of this world, but there's certain pleasures that are forbidden. How could I now go and break that trust after Hashem gave me so much trust, he entrusted in me this freedom to choose, and now I'm going to use it, this gift he gave me, to go against his will? How could I do such a thing? That mirrors Yosef's own statement to Potiphar's wife, that just like Potiphar's Potiphar himself has given him dominion of everything, and how could he now break that trust? So too we, Hashem has given us this tremendous gift of free will. How could we go now and violate that trust? That's the mirror image. And that's exactly why in this verse it states, Va'yimoin, that he refused, meaning he was a willing refusal. It was not that he felt a desire. It's not because he didn't desire her. It's because after thinking about it, he realized that what he was doing was so against the entire meaning of gratitude that he couldn't even fathom committing this sin. He had it wasn't enticing to him because he couldn't bring himself that low. That was impossible. After such a tremendous debt of gratitude to Hashem, how could he bring himself to this? And that's why he refused. He willingly refused. He didn't even feel the allure. Just a quick question on this week's Parsha. What's very interesting about this story, what we just spoke about, is that Yosef, he is successful in this tremendous challenge. What happens right after that? Potiphar's wife tells Potiphar that Yosef actually proposed her, and therefore Potiphar throws Yosef in the deepest, darkest dungeon in the entire Egypt. Can you imagine Yosef? Yosef just withstood the most tremendous sin, this sin which had a tremendous amount of allurement to most people. And he withstood that test. He successfully walked out of there unscathed. And what happens now? He gets thrown to a deeper, darker dungeon. Why would Hashem specifically make events so that right after being successful in surmounting this tremendous challenge, Yosef is now thrown and seems to be punished in the deepest, darkest pit in Egypt? Have a great Shabbos.